The views expressed on the Warren and Bradley Show are not necessarily those held by the hosts, Warren and Bradley, nor those of the proprietors of the website, warrenandbradley.com.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, fire!
Let's make some magic.
It's magic time, Warren. Hello, and welcome to the Warren and Bradley Show. I'm one of your hosts, Bradley.
And I'm Warren. Is that not right? That's fine.
I don't know. It's fine.
I think I said it a little bit different than I usually do.
It was very emphatic.
We've done so many podcasts now that any slight change is really
we're getting a formula, kind of.
Yeah.
A little bit. I was trying to keep notes this week of weird shit that's been happening to me because things occur on a daily basis. I'm like, oh, I should mention this in the podcast, and then inevitably I just forget all about it. And
this is a little inside baseball for all you potential podcasters
and then
out
we just
there.
end up talking about the apocalypse or something. So to be more topical, well, I guess not topical, but just anecdotal.
Topical, like things that happen in your
exactly.
week.
This week
Current
in Bradley
events
Victor.
with Brad.
To be more anecdotal, perhaps. I had a good little interaction the other day. We live in the state of Washington.
We do.
And in the state of Washington, there is a ridiculous, stupid law where you're not allowed to smoke a cigarette within 25 feet of an entrance or window of a public building. Mm-hmm. And public building meaning any building, basically.
Not just like a government building, but any sort of
like any business.
Restaurant or anything like that.
And so I had gone during the weekend to go get my bagel and coffee, as I always do. Mm-hmm. And afterwards, I like to drink my coffee and smoke a nice cigarette. And previously, I used to be able to sit outside the bagelry and smoke my cigarette and drink my coffee and watch the people go by. But now I cannot do that. And so I go to the corner where there's kind of a little island with a couple trees. And I stand there and smoke. It's unobtrusive. It's out of the way. People walking on the sidewalk don't have to get polluted by my horrible smoke as they walk by. So it's me doing what I think, well, I don't think it's necessary, but I'm trying to abide by the rules. So I'm standing there smoking my cigarette, minding my own business, and this street is a busy street with all sorts of businesses and restaurants, and people are always waiting to get parking on this street, and so they'll just kind of stop in the middle of the street and sit there waiting for someone to pull out of their parking spot. Some college douchebags in a minivan, I don't know why it's always in a minivan, are stopped in the street, waiting for a parking spot. Window rolls down. "Thanks for smoking, asshole." So I'm already out of the way. Mm-hmm. I'm already doing what I'm supposed to be doing, so it pissed me off. It really annoys me when people start getting all uppity about smoking and so, superior about it. So I said, "No problem, dick," and flicked my cigarette butt at their vehicle. Yeah. Hoping, just to, fuck you, flick the cigarette. But they already weren't paying attention to me anymore. Their parking spot was open. They were going to pull in. And so the guy wasn't looking at me when I said that and flicked the cigarette. Went right into the window.
Oh, perfect.
Right into the open window. And they pull ahead a few feet, and suddenly the car just goes, "Ow!" and almost hits a bunch of other parked cars that are in the street. Uh-huh. I don't know if it landed on his crotch. Maybe it immolated his penis, and now he'll no longer be able to have children. That would be the best result
That'd be great.
I could hope for in this situation. But they didn't, pile out and try to beat me or anything, so maybe they realized they deserved it. I don't know.
Maybe they're just so shocked at what was happening that they didn't even have time to react.
They couldn't believe the violence that had been
Let's say
that
you had flicked the cigarette at it, and they had their gas tank kind of open, and it fell in there, and they drove away a little bit, and all of a sudden, burst into flames, bam, and it blew up. And then you're walking away, and
in slow motion.
Yeah, and the next day in the paper, it's car mysteriously explodes. Would you go to the police and tell them what happened?
No. I
really?
would not. No.
Well, okay.
I'd be arrested for manslaughter.
No, well, 3 days later, some old woman goes to the police and says, "I saw this skinny guy with a cigarette flick a cigarette at the vehicle before it explodes." they come and question you, and they're like, "We heard this. Would you deny it, or would you admit what happened?"
So whenever there's an APB out for a skinny guy with a cigarette, they automatically
they assume it was you. A misogynist skinny guy with a cigarette.
I would have to think about that, because I don't know if there's any like traffic cameras or anything around there. I don't know if there's any surveillance, like maybe a business has. If I knew for sure that there was no way they could pin me to this crime, then I would not say anything about it.
You think they're going to put you in prison for that?
Oh, it's manslaughter. You're dead.
No.
Well,
but manslaughter, you have to be doing something like trying to hurt somebody.
No, because there's what is it called? Negligent manslaughter. There's all sorts of, anytime somebody dies and anyone is remotely responsible, you can be put in jail.
I think that's just it's such impossibility that would happen.
What about Dr. Conrad Murray?
Oh, tell me more.
He wasn't trying to kill Michael Jackson.
Oh, well, no. But he was being completely irresponsible in what he was doing.
Well, and it was irresponsible of me to flick a cigarette into their.
But he was a physician, and he should have known. There's no way you could have known that was going to happen. I'm setting up your defense right now.
Okay, I'm still trying to think of examples where people just freak accident and they do something.
But I mean, that is just pretty much just an accident.
Well, okay, you could say flicking a cigarette at somebody is assault.
Yes.
And then as a result of that assault, they died because their car blew up. So I would be in jail. And what would it gain by me telling them that it was me anyway?
It's not would it gain society to lock you up, though?
Well,
like, you would never flick another cigarette? And it would stop other potential cigarette flickers?
It would punish me and show... it would be a good anti-smoking campaign, too. It's like, oh,
no,
cigarettes.
What it is a campaign against people who are telling other people not to smoke, because...
Well, maybe you and I think that way, but I don't think anyone else would.
Well, they blew up. They're dead, you know what I mean?
This is what you get.
This is what you get for back-talking smokers.
Dick. This whole mentality of the drive-by insult... This happens to me all the time. I don't think it happens to you. For some reason,
it happened to me as a child.
Okay.
A lot. And I would go down Northwest Avenue to 7-Eleven, get some candy or Slurpee or something. And it was always like high school kids in like a Trans Am would just drive up and they go, ah! And yell. And you're just like, oh, it's terrifying when you're like 8 to have that happen.
Yeah.
I would never do that to a kid.
No.
You know what I mean?
No.
Because it's like... It's a little kid. Why are you being mean to a little kid that's walking down the street?
Well, especially if you're like, oh, you weren't riding your bike, right?
No, usually I was just walking. Okay. Even if I was riding my bike, I think it would happen.
What if you fell off your bike and went into the street, and then that's another good example of negligent manslaughter.
Oh, there's no way they could have known.
Yeah. I always get the fag
as
I'm walking down the street.
Yeah.
Because
you look like a fag.
I don't think I do, really. I mean, I see a lot of other people who look way more gay than me walking around, and nobody else. I think it's because they know I'm not. And so you don't see, if you see a guy mincing around with a poodle,
that's true.
You're not like, fag, and he's like, yes. It's not...
If you see an actual gay guy walking down the street, you don't yell fag at him, because that's really mean.
Well, I don't yell fag at anybody, but...
I rarely do either.
But yeah, I think that's the thing where it's like, there's something about me they don't like, and so that's what they're going to yell at me. They know I'm not, and they're thinking that would insult me.
Yeah.
Because if I really was gay, I'd just be like, yeah, so what? What's the big deal?
Oh, my gosh.
But since I'm not, I'm like, oh, my God, they yelled fag at me.
It's mostly just an attack on your attire, though, I think.
Exactly. And if college douchebags were to roll down their window and say, looking good, bro, then I would know that maybe...
But that would be sarcastic if they did that.
Not necessarily. If they did it in a non-sarcastic way, then I would think, okay, I'm not...
Does that happen? A bunch of college douchebags roll up on you and be like, looking good, bro? And they're like all nodding at each other like, that guy looks really great?
No, they all roll up on me and say fag, and they all high-five each other. But if they were to say looking good, bro, then I would know that maybe my attire was not something that I should be wearing. If they found it attractive or well put together.
I do find the drive-by yell... particularly infuriating, though.
Well, it's a
cowardly move.
It's a weasely little thing to do. It's because you can't do it. What are you going to chase after their car, shaking your fist? It's just okay. So I had a couple friends come up to town and visit me once, and they're all kind of hipstery, and I'm pseudo hipstery, I guess, too, in the way I dress. We had our tight pants and our leather jackets and bandanas and shit like that. And we were rolling down the street, a crew going out, going to get some drinks. And one of my friends from out of town was like, God, I hope nobody yells fag at me. It seems like anytime I come to this town, people yell fag at me. And I'm like, I doubt that's going to happen. It hasn't happened to me in a while. 2 minutes, after making this statement, another minivan, like a Chevy Astro van,
Oh, yeah.
rolls up, starts pacing us, like slowly driving as we're walking along. The cargo door opens, and 6 like college douchebags from inside go, "Fag! Fag! Faggots! Fag!" Door closes, drive away. 2 minutes after that, a motorcycle drives by. Motorcycle slows down. You can see the guy turn his head and kind of look at us. He goes around the block, comes back,
Yeah.
stops the motorcycle, puts up his visor, and goes, "Fags, faggots." Amazing.
What's the impulse that drives people to do that? I just don't care enough about people around me to do that.
Yeah, I don't give a shit what people are wearing. It doesn't matter to me.
Yeah.
The fact that he was so incensed by our appearance that he felt it's necessary to go circle around the block again, and just to let us know what he felt. Oh, I have one more drive-by minivan story. There's others. I mean, this has happened to me often. But when I was in college at USC, I don't know why somebody was driving on campus, because you weren't supposed to. There were there was like a cross of major streets that went through the campus that you were allowed to drive on, and then most of it was just pedestrian walkways and stuff. And there was, for some reason, a bunch of frat boys in a minivan again, driving where they weren't supposed to be driving. I was just walking, minding my own business, and fag! And so I look. At this time, a full can of Coke comes sailing at my head. It's like a line drive. I duck. It like smashes into the ground behind me. I mean, that would have knocked me out.
That's dangerous.
I would have been concussed and probably in the hospital if it had hit me. So I was angry about this. The Coke is it's like a live grenade where pop is starting to shoot out of the top.
Yeah.
I pick it up as they're driving away, like, and high-fiving each other. I threw the can of Coke, shattered their rear window.
Sweet justice.
Justice was done. Apparently my aim is really good when I'm angry. I also once threw a fist-size thing of Lego bricks at my brother from like half a block away because he was pissing me off. Hit him right in the temple. He was bleeding like a stuck pig. It's amazing. So if I'm ever pissed and I have something in my hand...
You should be a professional quarterback.
Yeah, I don't
Just
know
you
about
have to
that.
be angry all the time.
Yeah, have somebody
be
yell
very
fag
accurate.
at me out of
Fag,
the field.
fag. Some guy on the sideline that just the quarterback coach who just yelled at you constantly, and you're like, "I'll show you." You go out there and throw really accurate passes all day long.
Ugh, that sounds like a Hollywood movie waiting to happen.
Yeah, I don't know what the market is for that.
Fag on the 40.
They call him a fag until they called him an all-star.
We probably shouldn't be saying fag this often.
Oh, yeah, I know, but there's lots of things we say on the show that offend people.
Well, and that's the thing. I don't want people to misunderstand. We don't say fag. We're quoting people who say
For a couple
fag.
people who have just said fag a lot, we don't say fag.
We don't say. See, I don't even do the thing where like, oh, you look like a fag, or that's faggy, because people say that all the time, where it almost loses the connotation of it being a homosexual.
Yeah.
They just use that as.
Well, people use gay that way a lot.
Yeah, that's so gay.
And
I don't
it's not
do
even,
that.
It doesn't even have to do with sexuality at this point. It just
Yeah.
has to do with being sort of like campy, I think, is the way
Maybe,
people use
yeah.
it. Or being, maybe just be effeminate. I don't know.
But even that, I'm careful about. I don't do that.
Oh, I would never use that in like polite conversation.
Yeah.
Especially around someone who could be offended by it. I wouldn't, be throwing gay and fag around.
Like a gay guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Unless I was like cool with him, and then I would use it. You know what I mean?
Well, that's true. Yeah.
Then you're allowed. Then you know what I mean. If you're cool with somebody, then
Yeah,
you can
yeah, yeah.
you can say things like that.
When I worked in the men's designer department at Bloomingdale's in West Hollywood, all my coworkers were gay pretty much, and it was just a constant fag barrage at all times.
Oh, well, that's just like using the N-word amongst
Exactly, yeah.
African
Like,
Americans.
they could all use it. I actually had to come out to them as being straight.
It's an awkward talk to have with
Yeah,
somebody.
because they all just assumed that I was gay because I worked there, I guess.
Yeah.
And so they'd all be talking about their boyfriends and talking about, in great detail, some things that I didn't need to hear. And then finally I was like, okay, they think I'm gay, so I'm going to have to make some sort of statement to show that I'm not gay, but I don't want it to seem as though I'm like, listen, everybody, I'm not gay. And
Because that makes it sound like you're gay.
Exactly, or it
Yeah.
makes it seem like I'm too
They're
worried
like,
about it or
yeah,
something.
Why would, if you're really not gay, why would you care?
Right.
Like situation, yeah.
And so I had my girlfriend at the time come into work once. This is even worse, but I thought it made perfect sense at the time. I was like, okay, you just come in when I'm on my break, and you come and like
We'll kiss.
give me I don't know, bring me a coffee or something like that.
Yeah,
woman.
yeah.
And so she did. She came in, and everyone's like, folding clothes in the background at the little POS counter.
Yeah.
And she walks up. I don't think they had ever seen her before. And she gives me the coffee. I'm like, okay, thanks. And then I went, mwah, and kissed her and said, I think she said, I love you. And I was like, I love you too.
Oh.
And then she walked away, and then I could hear just silence behind me. And then as soon as she was out of earshot, it was, huh?
Oh, Celebrity Minute.
You're raising your hand? Okay.
I got a Celebrity Minute for you.
Okay, go on.
Celebrity Minute on the Warren and Bradley Show.
Russell Brand and Katy Perry, Splitsville.
I didn't know they were dating.
They're married.
They're married?
They've been married for a while.
Jesus, I'm behind.
They're madly in love.
Yeah.
And apparently it was just going to be great. I don't know what happened.
Is
but
it
I heard
because
about
his
it on the
career
radio.
is tanking? He made Arthur and nobody went to see it?
That's so annoying, Arthur.
Why remake that movie anyway?
Why make it in the first place?
The first movie wasn't great.
No.
But even so, everyone's like, oh, Dudley Moore was the definitive performance of a drunk asshole. So, yeah, I don't really
You
think we
can't
need to
top
do that
Dudley
again.
Moore in that role.
No. Russell Brand, I've listened to a lot of UK radio, actually, online. And I think he's funny, but I can't understand what the hell he's saying much of the time.
Oh, does he have a really heavy accent?
Well, they get to this point where if you hear him just making a statement, okay, I can understand what he's saying. And I'm pretty good with accents, but when you get him, and there's been stuff with him and Steve Merchant, stuff with Carl Pilkington and a couple other people, and when they get into that English zone, and then it just, the euphemisms and idioms and strange shit starts flying, and then it gets kind of hard to
Have you ever seen
follow.
Kes?
No, but this is apparently this amazing movie.
Well, I watched it like last week for the first time. I finally was like, I'm going to watch Kes. So I watched it. I can't understand a goddamn word they're saying.
Well, this is from like the north. That's north.
Yes,
yeah.
it's Barnsley.
Barnsley, okay.
And oh my god, I was like, I gotta put the subtitles on. Because it was just like beyond me what they were saying.
I'm usually pretty good at watching British films and being able to understand them, but maybe I'll have to check that out. That's the one, so it's a little boy gets a hawk.
Oh, it's
and raises
just
it.
sad.
So sad.
Oh, it's...
Because isn't he like abused or neglected?
Oh, he just has the worst life.
Yeah.
And his big brother works in like a coal mine and just beats him up all the time.
Yeah.
His mom's out like being a tart. And he's just like...
a slapper.
Trying to get by, and everyone's mean to him at school, and he's sort of sickly looking, and he finds this like kestrel, and he's like, I'll teach you to be my friend. And then like he teaches it, and it's like, you know, very touching, and this one teacher like relates to him and comes and sees it and is really impressed, and you can tell that he's literally like, this is great.
Right.
And then his brother kills it,
Oh my god.
puts it in the garbage can. He goes and digs it out, takes it outside and buries it, and that's the end.
So what's the moral of this story?
I don't know. It's dark. It's bleak.
Life is horrible.
Life is horrible. I wouldn't want to have lived in Barnsley in the late 60s.
Well, I thought the story was that he was eventually going to, through raising the kestrel, he would gain self-confidence and realize that he has something to offer the world and start standing up for himself. And then at the end, he'll let the kestrel go after the lesson has been learned, and he can go on and move on to bigger.
That would have been a
better
better
things.
ending for me. I would have felt better about it,
Yeah.
rather than just a dead kind of like bird hanging there.
That's horrible.
No, it's not good. It was a bad experience.
I found a duck once when I was a kid.
No, this is just the American version.
Not quite. We were...
Did you teach the duck to do tricks?
my brother and I were going to the old frog pond.
Oh, yeah.
We were wont to do in
Yeah,
those days.
quaint lifestyle that you lived as a child.
Ding-a-ding-ding-ding. We'd get our little... We actually get a radio flyer wagon, and we had this little like kiddie pool in our yard, and we'd go and just get all these tadpoles and pond water, and then we'd make a cesspool and throw all this shit back there, which was really cool. But then the mosquitoes would start breeding like crazy and spreading malaria all over. But anyway, we were back at the frog pond, and there was this mallard duck in the middle of the pond, like, "Wah, wah," and he seemed kind of distressed. We didn't know what was going on. I don't know. I was probably like 9, and he was probably 12, I guess.
The duck or your brother?
My brother.
Okay.
And so it swam over to us. And this is a wild duck.
Yeah.
And it's like, "Meh," and gets out, and it looked like something was wrong with its wing, and it couldn't walk properly. And so I guess the logical thing to do is we just grabbed it.
Well, why not?
We just picked it up, and it was like, "Rah, rah, rah," and just biting.
Yeah.
And we were holding this thing. It was just, "Rah, rah, rah." And we're like, come on, duck, it's fine. We're walking down in this suburban neighborhood, people driving by, we've got a duck under our arm. It sounds like a joke. Walk through. Okay.
Walking down the street with a duck under your arm,
Exactly.
2 kids. Yeah.
We brought it into our garage, put it in the garage, got a bowl of water and some bread, because that's all I knew about ducks
Well,
eating.
they do eat bread.
Well,
you throw them to them in a pond. They eat bread.
And it was just like, rah, 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 in the garage, like spilling the water, throwing the bread everywhere. It was very angry.
It's a wild duck.
It was not happy about anything that was happening. And so finally my mom found out that we had it in the garage because she heard the quacking from inside the house.
Oh, yeah.
And it's kind of hard to hide. And so she called the Humane Society, or maybe it was like some wild... she claimed it was wild animal rescue or something, and they were going to try to fix the duck.
Yeah, that's
But
what
they probably
your parents
just
always tell
wrung
you.
its neck as soon as it was out of
They
sight.
probably ate it and turned it into duck jerky or
Maybe.
something.
But I'd like to think that maybe... I can't remember what we called him. We had a name for him.
Ducky.
Ducky.
Have you seen the video of the cat and the dolphins yet?
No.
So this person has this like home video of this cat who's like looking over the side of the boat, and the dolphin comes up, and they're like, he's like, this cat's making friends with the dolphins. They're like rubbing against it, and they're like, you know. So and then like the dolphin goes away and like brings its friends back, and all the other dolphins look at the cat, and the cat's kind of like playing with the dolphin's nose, and the dolphin's just like having a great time.
Jesus.
Yeah, it's weird. You can tell like the dolphin's never seen a cat before.
Right. It's
And
all
it's
fun
like-
and games until the dolphin's just like... and just crunches down on it.
That's kind of what you're waiting for the entire time, but it seemed like they were getting along pretty well.
Huh.
Yeah, but you're kind of worried the cat's going to fall in the water.
I got freaked out by a beluga whale once. I broke into an aquarium.
Okay, yeah, that's what I was going to say. It had to be in an aquarium,
Yeah,
right?
it
What other
wasn't-
situation would you run into a beluga whale?
I wasn't just swimming out in the open
Yeah.
ocean in an ice floe. No, I like climbed a fence. This is a long, crazy story, but ended up drunk in an aquarium late at night.
Of course.
All these pools everywhere, dark. I mean, there was a couple floodlights on around, and I thought, I don't know what I thought. I guess I thought that most of the animals would be put in little like sleeping tanks or something at night.
Yeah.
Like I didn't figure they would be just out in the main tanks.
Yeah.
And so as I was walking by this one dark pool, I noticed movement in there. I was like, huh, what's going on in here? I lean over the edge of the pool to try to check it out, and suddenly, bam! This giant beluga whale head is like, comes out like inches from my face. Fucking freaked out and screamed, and then one of the security guards heard me, and I got chased through the place, and then...
The thing about beluga whales are, they're kind of creepy looking in the face.
They're friendly.
They're friendly, but
Well,
at the
I
same
mean,
time...
they look friendly. They've got a big smile.
They look, yeah, but I don't know.
But they got that weird hump on their head.
Yeah,
and they're
there's something creepy about them.
yeah. I wouldn't trust a beluga whale.
Yeah. Depends on the situation.
Is that the video we saw as children? The nature video? We went to this private Christian school, and
Oh, yeah.
we were watching a nature video. I think it was beluga whales, or maybe it was dolphins. I can't remember. Where it was like, oh, there's a little nature program to show the children. Suddenly, the bomb bay door opens on the whale, and the giant, like 8-foot-long penis comes out. Remember this?
Yeah.
Just scarred us all for life.
That was like a big old whale, though, right?
Maybe.
That was, yeah, that's why it was so big, because it was like a blue whale or something.
I like that design, though. If we just had a little hatch that opened and the penis would come out, because right now it's just
Hanging out there.
dangling all over the place,
Endangered.
getting caught in barbed wire fences and stuff like that. This is going good so
I think it's
far.
going good.
What do you guys think out there? Is it going
They're
good?
not going to hear this. Are you just going to cut that part in?
Hey, hey, how you like it? Let us know. Yeah, we're doing good.
So I ever told you about this situation I have with the taco store downtown, or taco restaurant?
Taco Del Mar.
Well, I was going to keep it like...
Well, what the fuck do we care? They're a
Secretive.
company. It's not like it's...
Well, I have a specific issue with one of the employees.
Okay, go on.
We'll beep that out. For a long time, I was going to this establishment, and they specialize in fish. Mm-hmm. And I would get fish tacos. They weren't very good, but for some reason, I found them satisfying. I would get them a lot.
Cheap.
There's always this guy in there with a weird accent, and he was like, "Oh, we talk a little bit all the time." And he was just really strange. And he'd talk about how he liked to party, and I'd be like, "Yeah, I party too, whatever." And then I went in there, and one day, and he was like, "I'm getting things together at the beach. Or I'm going to start playing beach volleyball out there. Well, you need to come out."
What beach?
I don't know. And I was like, he's like, "Yeah, give me your number. I'm going to get you out there. We're going to be." I was like, "Yeah, I'm going to get that right to you." Sure, no problem. I got out of there, didn't go back, right?
Yeah, you want to run away from that.
So now I walk by there sometimes, and I look in there. If he was in there, I won't go in there.
Yeah.
I went in there last week thinking, there's no way he remembers this. This was months ago.
Yeah.
And he goes, "Oh, good to see you, man." And I was like, "Uh-oh." And then, because all I wanted to do was get my tacos and sit down and eat them.
Uh-huh.
I don't want to talk to this guy. Oh, Jesus Christ. Went on for half an hour. No other customers came in, so it was just like nonstop. Apparently he had worked in Alaska, and he was telling me about all the stereotypes about all the different ethnicities he worked with. Like, Filipino people are really, like, they work hard, but their women work hard too, but Russian guys work hard, but the women don't work hard, but, like, Croatians like to party, and it just, like, went on and on.
Are you taking notes on this for your friend?
Oh, I was like, oh, please just let me eat my taco. No one came in, so I get out of there. Now, I kind of feel like I want to eat these fish tacos. Every time I go by, he's in there. I can't just sit down and have tacos anymore.
This is the thing where I try to maintain a certain level of a professional shield between me and the people whose businesses I frequent.
Yes.
There are a couple people, like my local convenience store guy, Guprit,
yeah,
who is a prince and a wonderful man. I talk to him. I talk to Guprit. But in a convenience store, it's like, you go in, you buy your pack of cigarettes, you get a thing of beer.
Oh, it's no problem. You're right out of there.
Hey,
a little chat's easy to do.
Oh, hello, Bradley. Hey, Guprit, what's going on? It's fine. But other places, like you said, I don't want to be bothered. There's people, there used to be a guy that worked at the grocery store I go to a lot, who every time I came in there, it was a 20-minute conversation. And it's the kind of thing where, since you don't really know them, you might have mentioned one thing that they seize upon as the thing that they have to talk about every time, because it might be the one thing that maybe you have in common. Yeah. And so you're there struggling, trying to think of other things to say about the one thing that you just kind of threw away as like some offhand comment, but they seized on this, and it's like, I like to keep, thank you very much, have a good day.
Oh, because that's all, the only reason I'm in there is to eat the tacos in silence. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't need any of this other stuff.
What was the accent that he had?
Well, this is interesting. It sounded kind of Canadian, but also sort of like Eastern European. Never knew what was going on. But then finally he alluded to the fact that he lived in Canada a lot. And I was like, oh, okay. But that didn't explain all of it. Apparently he had spent a lot of his childhood in Germany as well. So it was like a German-Canadian accent.
I always have Canadians telling me that they don't have any accent. It's not true.
We have an accent, you know.
Well, everybody has an accent, but they're trying to say that they speak exactly like we do.
No, they don't.
And they don't. And I'm speaking to you right now, Canadian, and I can detect an accent. Like, no, I don't have an accent. And
you don't know what you're talking about. And you're like, well, I just heard it right there.
Yeah.
Yeah. I find them insufferable sometimes. I mean, they're friendly people, but they're also like, just seem clueless.
It's funny when I lived in LA, because since you and I grew up near the border with Canada, I don't know, anyone else listening elsewhere in the country might not have these.
That person in Romania that listens.
Exactly. Vladig, whatever his name was. We had this, growing up as kids, we had this weird anti-Canadian prejudice sort of instilled into us.
Oh, yeah.
There are all these stereotypes about Canadians, how they can't drive, they're cheap, they're rude, all this shit.
Yeah.
Everywhere else in the country, you mention Canadians, they're like, oh, aren't they just like the friendliest, greatest people in the world? And you're like, eh. And on an individual basis, know plenty of Canadians, good friends with Canadians, but there is this sort of weird mentality, and I think it was especially in the 90s, they used to come down when the Canadian dollar, I guess the Canadian dollar is close to parity now, but at the time, too, it was strong.
Yeah.
They would come and buy milk and buy cheese and buy gas.
Yeah.
We'd go to the local mall, and there'd be all these people near their cars putting on the clothing that they had purchased at the mall and ripping the tags off so they wouldn't have to pay duty as they were going over the border. And also the driving thing. It's invariably when anyone is driving too slow, when somebody's tailgating you, when somebody's changes lanes like an idiot, almost always a Canadian license plate.
Which is odd, because it's not like they're coming from the Yukon, and they're coming from like Vancouver. Yeah. They're coming from a pretty urban environment where they should be able to drive. Yet they seem to have no idea what's going on and just swerving all over the road.
And it's not like they drive on a different side of the road.
No.
The only thing that I could think that might throw them off is the speed limit, because they have kilometers and we have miles. But
that's an easy transition.
Pretty much every car sold in North America has kilometers and miles on it. So, yeah.
And well, the other thing that happened when we were kids, at the Kmart, they would all come in their campers and they'd camp at the Kmart.
I remember this. I remember us riding our bikes down back in the parking lot behind. This is their vacation.
Yeah.
They would come from Canada in a fucking Winnebago. They would park in a parking lot behind a Kmart in just this strip mall wasteland.
Yeah.
And hang out. They'd be in lawn chairs, like barbecuing and shit.
It's like a KOA, but it was a Kmart parking lot.
What the hell? And why? I guess Kmart is like, okay, maybe they'll come in here and purchase things from us. But what the fuck? So, I'm going crazy lately.
Oh, yeah, that'll happen.
I don't know if I'm getting, like, early onset Alzheimer's or some sort of dementia happening. But I was trying to write some things down as examples of me losing my mind.
That's the problem with losing your mind.
Yeah, exactly.
Your
you can't remember.
Skills are diminished.
The other day, I had one of the days where my dementia was very pronounced, and I was just freaking out and getting really angry at myself. I started out locking my keys in my truck.
Yeah. Sad.
I have a procedure for retrieving them when this happens, because it happens on a fairly regular basis.
Oh, God.
And so I was downtown with a implement shoved through the window trying to unlock my truck as people walking by. It's my truck. Don't worry. It's mine.
Yeah.
Did that. Got home with groceries and walked over to the fridge and attempted to unlock my fridge with my keys. For a good minute, I was like poking the keys at the handle of the fridge until I realized that there was no lock on the fridge and I didn't need to worry about that. Then, had to take a shit.
Oh no, I don't know where this is going.
Walked into the bathroom, pulled the old pants down, put the seat down, the lid.
Oh, that thing, and then sat on it?
And sat on it.
Oh, no.
And was like, oh, wait a minute. Almost shat on the closed toilet.
That's worrying.
That's not good at all. And then that same day, I also ran into a girl who I dated for several months. Could not remember her name. Could not remember her name.
That's not good.
That's not normal.
I'm just picturing, like, the 2020 story about this, when they're, like, the tragic tale of Bradley Victor, and they, like, play back this recording. Yeah, Rising Star. But it's, like, they have that, like, reel-to-reel, like, that they're showing as they're playing this. And it's, like, he saw it coming. It was so tragic.
And you laughing at me. As
and then they interview me. It's like former partner Warren Van. I'm just, it was great.
This will be good if it actually happens, because it would make for amazing podcasting if it's just the descent into madness.
Oh, it's just like, you know, we'd be like the Joy Division of podcasting. And people would be like, wow, they were amazing, because the one went crazy and died.
And someday when you come to show up to do the podcast, I'll be hanging from my ceiling.
Yes. And then I start the new order of podcasting, which is far more popular, and I make all the money. Yeah. I'm going to, like, clubs, just, like, podcasting. Everyone's dancing to it. People are into it. I like the way this works out for me.
Yeah, it's good for you.
Yeah.
Not so much for me. I don't know why I hang myself once I get dementia.
No, you do. That's the thing. I was thinking about this the other day. If you see dementia coming, you hang yourself instantly.
Oh, right.
Because you might not have a chance to do it later.
Right. I don't know if I'd stick around, I don't know if I'd let myself go completely crazy, because after a while you just don't care, because you're crazy. And then people just have to wipe your ass and feed you.
Which isn't good.
But maybe if it happens slowly, it'd be the kind of thing where, you know, you don't boil a frog, or what is that? You throw a frog in a frog.
Oh, yeah, well, that's the problem. You're like, I'll take care of this later. I'll hang myself later.
Right.
Next thing you know, you're, like, boiled.
Then you can't even remember to hang yourself anymore.
Yeah. You gotta take care of it fast.
So as soon as I think that I might need to hang myself, I'll go ahead and hang myself.
Well, give it a couple days.
Yeah, well, we'll see.
Well, maybe mention it to me, and then be like, this is what I've always said. Like, if I see it happening, I'm gonna, like, I'll tell you or tell somebody else. I'll be like, you know, I might be slipping. If I'm slipping, you gotta take me out.
Oh, you're gonna kill me?
Yeah, I'll kill you. I'll, like, smother you with a pillow.
Like in One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest?
Yeah, it'll be like that.
And then I'll throw my desk through the window and
I'll jump out the window and kill myself. But, well, I was having this discussion with somebody the other day. Oh, yeah, well, it makes sense. It would be my girlfriend. But we were talking about, like, holding a pillow for someone and trying to smother them.
Yeah.
And I was like, I don't think it's that easy, because you see people do it in movies, and they just kind of, like, they just hold it
like
over.
2 seconds.
And then they die, and there's, like, not that hard to hold it over. And I was like, hold a pillow over my head and see if you can, like, kill me. And I'm like, do it as hard as you can. And I'll, like, tap 3 times. I really need to stop.
See the police report later.
Yeah, I know. He said to do this. And I'm like, yeah, whatever, lady. That guy loved life. And they're like, listen to that podcast. And they're like, okay, you're innocent. But, and I was just like, I could just whip my head up. You know what I mean?
Well, she is a tiny girl.
She's a tiny girl, but I don't know.
I think you could probably smother her with a pillow.
You think?
Oh,
I guess I probably could.
Definitely.
But 2 people of, like, the same size.
Yeah.
You couldn't, like, smother somebody that was, like...
You whip your head around.
Yeah, you whip your head around, you try to get out of it, you're, like, kicking and stuff and, like, pushing your neck up. There's no way.
It's the kind of thing, too, when someone starts choking someone, and it's like there's nothing they can do. Once you've got your hands on their neck, they're dead, and I don't think that's the case. Maybe if you have an actual garrote, and you come up behind somebody, and it's like the piano wire.
Yeah.
Because that actually cuts through the jugular, too, when you do that, and they bleed out. Yeah, I remember the only... Dementia.
Oh, no. Here, that's happening.
The only experience I have with trying to smother someone with a pillow has been with girlfriends. And not like...
God, that's a...
No.
Next time on.
Next time. And so it has been the kind of thing where, yes, I could easily smother them with the pillow.
Yeah.
And so I've never tried to do it to a man before who was of similar strength.
I don't think you could do it.
There's that whole... Do you wrestle with your girlfriend much?
Not much, no.
Get a little roughhousing going on?
No, I'm not much of a roughhouser. I'm a little lazy for that.
Because I've had girlfriends who have enjoyed that, and it's fun, you know, you're wrestling around. Inevitably, it's like when you're little kids and your mom's, somebody's going to get hurt, and you start wrestling around with your girlfriend, and gets a little rowdy, and suddenly she gets thrown against the wall, and like, there's one girlfriend I had. No.
That sounds terrible.
No, it's like, you're on the bed, it's bouncy, you're like, oh, shooting around.
She gets thrown against a wall?
Well, there was one girl I dated who did, like, knock her head pretty hard against the wall.
Oh, my God.
Yeah. But it wasn't even me throwing her, it was her, like, lunging away or something, and she tripped and hit her head on the wall. But it was the classic...
It was her fault.
It was her fault completely.
Yeah.
But it was the classic thing where, you know when a little kid gets hurt, and you can see there's that, like, 5-second period where they're thinking about it, and it's either going to erupt into a crazy tantrum, or if you can kind of shake them out of it in time, then you might be able to avoid that. And so she went, hit her head against the wall, actually dented the drywall a little bit. She collapses to the bed, and she's like... You can see her face all screwed up. And so I immediately went, ha-ha! And smacked my head against the wall as hard as I could.
What? Okay.
And that worked. It got her out of it. She didn't cry afterwards.
Really? Mm-hmm. That's a weird reaction to that.
I did that to my little brother once. I was spinning him around by his legs.
Yeah.
And I lost hold of him. And he went sailing several yards and knocked his head on a rock that was on the ground. And again, I don't know if he was dazed or concussed, but... I, again, did the same thing where I went, oh, and, like, smacked my head against the rock, too.
That made him feel better?
That's my initial
This is the dementia. This is where it's coming from.
Maybe.
You have to stop smacking your head against things just to make people feel better.
I have been knocked out several times in my life. Maybe that has something to do with it.
Oh, didn't you used to, like, suck in helium, too, and, like, pass out?
Yeah.
Oh, that's not good for your brain.
Actually, yeah, once I've had stitches. I got the corner of a stove embedded in my skull once.
Yeah.
Once when I was a baby, my dad was throwing me around and, like, knocked me out when I was, like, 6 months old or something. I have a big scar on my head from that, like a dent.
Definitely going to be on
skull.
2020. All this stuff. And then they'll bring him in and be like, what was that all about? And he'll be like, well, you know.
There's a lot of mileage on my skull. If I ever shave my head, it's so lumpy and fucked up looking. I was going to say, see, this is happening.
Yeah,
it's happening right now. Right before your eyes, ladies and gentlemen.
In a couple episodes, it's just going to be me talking, you drooling
me going,
over there. Tune in for that, everybody.
Oh, I was going to talk about women and how they bruise so easily. Because this carries on from the wrestling situation.
You're really sounding like
No. Okay,
an abuser of women right now.
No. This is not me bruising them. But how many times have you seen a girl wearing a skirt or something, and she's got some horrible giant bruise on her thigh?
This is true.
And you're like, whoa, where'd that come from? Like, I don't know.
I know.
Like, how can you not know? It looks like somebody took a ball-peen hammer and beat you repeatedly on the leg. Like, no, I don't know. I just have bruises all over my legs. If I have a bruise...
You know where it came from.
I know where it came from.
Yeah.
I've hit myself with a hammer, or I've, like, slammed my arm in the car door or something. Girls... And that's the thing, when, like, wrestling around with the girl... I like saying wrestling. Just touching them, and there's like this perfect handprint bruise. Like, oh, this is not domestic violence. Because if they were to go to the cops,
tell it to the judge,
I
buddy.
know, and this is what I'm thinking. There's a lot of these domestic violence cases where the woman's like, look at all these bruises, and oh my god. And the guy okay, I shouldn't even say this.
This isn't something that happens. There are women falsely accusing men of domestic violence just because they've like gently handled them and they've been bruised. This is a weird conspiracy.
I'm saying that this is possible. It's a possibility. Because if you just poke your index finger on a woman's leg, she will develop a bruise.
It does happen. I know some of our friends I've been talking to recently about mysterious bruises they've had.
Yeah.
They're women, and they're like, look at this thing. And I'm like, that looks terrible. And they're like, no idea where that came from.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's common.
It's just walking around. Their pants bruise them as they walk. I don't know what's going on.
Yeah, it must have something to do with iron deficiency.
Well, no, I looked it up online. at one point, and then, granted, it was on Wikipedia.
Yeah,
but
I probably wrote that article.
Yeah, but it did say there's something about the cellular structure and the way the skin cells are situated and the way the blood vessels go that's different in women, because men have fewer nerve endings for the most part, so we're more inured to pain, and that also has to do with they just bruise way easier. They also have the way the fat cells are stored and stuff is different. Men don't get cellulite. We can get morbidly obese, but we don't get cellulite the way women do. It's just different.
Men and women, different, biologically.
I've noticed that.
Yeah, I made some investigations into that myself.
I like the sexual dimorphism action. I'm glad that we're not a species where you can't tell the difference. I mean, I guess I wouldn't care if we were that species. I'd be used to it. But there's just something about... Sometimes I'm sort of intrigued by, like, a tiny girl who's, like, 4'10" or something. And you're like,
all right, now
I feel like a man now when I'm standing next to you.
Jesus, that sounds weird too.
No, it just means like
I feel like a man now because you're a small, weak woman is my name.
It's not. You automatically throw it into like a small, weak woman. It's just I'm just saying, I'm not the biggest guy in the world.
No, you're not.
And so sometimes I'll be dating people who are like the same size as me, and you're like, oh, they might be able to beat me up. But if you're standing next to a girl, you're like, oh, okay, now. You seem feminine, I seem masculine. I seem like maybe if the apartment caught fire and you passed out, I could throw you over my shoulder and run to safety.
If you were a giant woman, I'd leave you to die.
Or I'd try to drag you by the leg.
Well,
and get smoke inhalation probably.
I mean, we do look different, but do you think a male dog looking at a female dog would be able to notice by sight that it was a female dog?
Oh, yeah. Well, I think they rely more on the sense of smell.
They do, but do you think they can tell by looking?
Probably. I mean, I can usually tell by looking at a dog's face, yeah.
Well, yeah, because it's like...
They have more delicate bones.
We're humans, so we notice the subtle differences between humans, and they're very dramatic to us. But if we were, like, not humans, we might look at all the people around us, and they may look pretty much the same.
Right, we all look alike.
Yeah.
They did a study with that with sheep.
Oh.
Where, sheep, how the fuck do you tell a sheep from one sheep?
Oh, yeah.
And apparently sheep can very, very easily look at the other sheep's face and be like, hey, that's Bob the sheep. And that's Clara.
Oh, that's the thing with crows. Have you heard about crows?
No.
Crows can, like, identify you. If you do something mean to them, they'll remember you and remember you for years.
Really?
This is the thing that I heard about, this study. They had some guy walking around with a Dick Cheney mask on. He went
harassing crows?
He went and harassed these crows on one side of town.
Don't fuck with crows.
No. They were, like, annoyed, and they went off.
Yeah.
They go over to the other side of town.
So then Dick Cheney is, like, duck hunting somewhere, and suddenly the swarm of crows attacks
completely different crows.
Yeah.
The crows knew.
They told the other crows?
They told the other crows. The other crows knew that guy was an asshole.
How the fuck can they do that?
I don't know, but apparently it's been proven scientifically. The crows can communicate which ones are the bad people.
The crows told the other crows that guy's an asshole.
The crows are very smart.
You would think they would have to see the guy, and then the crow go, that guy's the asshole. They couldn't... Are they going to describe the guy to the crows? They don't have language.
I don't know how it happens.
I know they're smart. I know crows are very intelligent.
They're very sharp, and they can recognize people
and
remember people. Yeah, it's amazing.
My dad used to tell me there was a crow that used to come to his playground at school that apparently was somebody's pet at one point, and it would be like, hello, hello, and it would come and try to get in the window and stuff.
Yeah, hang out with people.
Yeah, because it wanted to be around people.
Who doesn't?
Isn't that kind of sad? It's like,
What's the problem with domesticating a crow?
He probably had some old man. It was his only companion. And the old man dies, and his family's like, oh, what are we going to do with this crow?
So they just let him go?
Yeah, they just throw it out the window or something, and then it's like, oh...
They should give it to somebody else who wants a crow.
Yeah.
I think in the internet...
with the other crows.
Well, in the internet age, I think you get that crow away pretty easy. You'd be like, anybody want a friendly crow? And put it on the Craigslist, and they'd be all over it.
What's the legality of owning a crow?
It's probably illegal, but I don't think anyone cares.
Yeah.
I don't think you're supposed to shoot crows either, right?
I don't know. You can shoot swallows. Shoot those all the way.
Starlings.
Starlings, yeah.
Yeah. I don't know if crows are. I don't think a crow would be protected.
I don't know. I like them.
I don't think they're going to go extinct anytime soon.
I saw one the other day. There was this plastic container that had, like, macaroni salad in it or something.
Yeah.
And it was out on the street. There were all these crows kind of encircling it, like, cocking their heads, looking at it. They knew there was food in there, and they wanted to get it out. And they're like, ugh, like one of them got his beak and started shoving it in there, trying to get the thing open. It wasn't working. Because those things, even with as a human, you have to wrench them apart.
Yeah.
Finally, one went and grabbed a nail that was on the ground, shoved it in there, and wrenched it open like a lever.
Yeah.
I was amazed.
Yeah, they're surprisingly smart. With their little bird brains. Because the thing is, if we were trapped in crow bodies, you know how long would it take us to get that thing open? We would, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because it's not like you can just open it up, right? You don't actually have the physical tools to do it.
Right.
You'd have to come up with some plan to do it in the first place.
I wonder if I'm the first person who's ever witnessed this, because supposedly only other primates use tools.
I doubt it.
I doubt you've made some recorded this for posterity.
I'm sure this will end up in the Smithsonian now because
I'll be doing my college tour, like lecturing. Yeah, I saw a crow and it took a nail and.
People are like, just because you noticed this, you're lecturing about it.
I become like Professor Emeritus
Goodall
or something.
Of
like
crows. He's been living with the crows for years.
Is it Emeritus? Yeah.
Yeah, Emeritus. Professor Emeritus of Crows. You're in your mid-30s. Like, you're not a professor. You're really not retired. But you're the crow, the chair
I'm not
at the
going to
university.
actually teach classes, but
no, you're just going to mostly skate by and seeing this crow with a nail.
What I've noticed about crows? Jesus, God, those are intelligent animals. And people are taking notes. And
people are like,
it's got shiny beaks.
Did I ever tell you about that time I saw a crow with a nail try to wrench open a macaroni salad? People are like, wow, that's an amazing story. You're like, it better be, because that's all I've done in my entire life is notice that happen.
Next time on the Ward and Bradley Show.
It's not like they're going to interrupt my giant grow operation or find the hooker in my closet or my gimp under my bed.
Rolls are for old people, and rolls are something that old people give young people when old people are hanging out with young people, but it's not something a young person goes and buys.
Warren almost saw my penis.
I don't want to see that.
You didn't shove it in your ass first before you started squeezing it?
I think I did, but maybe not far enough. I don't know.
The Ward and Bradley Show. Available on iTunes and at wardandbradley.com.